everyone, apparently people want me to learn about BattleTech. I don't really mind, BattleTech's just not usually my thing. The one problem I've had with BattleTech is how slow the mechs are. Today is our... Alright, have fun, killer. Have a good day. We'll get more reactions throughout the day, but for now, people want us to react to different things, and I try not to show favoritism to anyone, so I randomly pick them. Randomly, as long as they're in the Discord and I can find them easily. So, alright, here we go everyone, and I'm going to learn about BattleTech. As I said before, some of the mech designs do look cool, but the main problem I have is they're just so slow. And most of them aren't really up my alley. I'm more of a Gundam mecha, you know, full but the mechs kind of have to look a lot cooler. Don't get me wrong, a lot of the history of this series, from what little I know, are interesting. Comstar, video, you have no choice. What? BattleTech 101. A basic manual for new mech warriors. Today's lesson, the great houses of the inner sphere.
Welcome, new mech warriors, to the inner sphere, where
like
you can
that
keep
right
whatever
there
money you find,
cool.
so long as you live to payday. For our first lesson, the great houses.
Right.
Slide, please. So the great houses are the six, or for people who can actually calculate projection power on an appreciable strategic scale, the 4 peer states, 1 remnant, and 1 hermit kingdom that make up the inner sphere. Okay. No, it's not a perfect sphere. Yes,
of course
there
not.
are things outside of it. Today we're talking about these assholes.
These assholes. House of Lyran, House Stern, House Davion, House Marik, and House So I'm guessing these are each one that run the inner sphere places, more or less. Let's see the other. Find it. It's payday. Alright. But yeah. These all do have some interesting designs overall. How long has MechWarrior been going on? Like, since the 80s, from what I remember. They also got, well, they technically did and didn't get the rights to some BattleTech designs. So, yeah.
These are the great houses of the inner sphere, and they're all very different in varying ways,
Okay.
but are mostly the same, in that they are all occasionally not very nice to each other. They also possess vast arsenals of planet-killing weapons, and on special occasion will trundle them out for public display.
Alright.
If you want to know why these people are fighting over such vast territory and why they're so committed to erasing portions of their collective industrial base, history, and civilization, well, it's complicated.
Alright.
My best take on it is a 2-parter, and most people find that a bit much. So let this serve as a basic introduction to your career in the world of mech warriors, and a primer on who's most likely to kill you when you inevitably fuck up. But firstly, a disclaimer, I am biased. As a mercenary plying his trade in the inner sphere, I find concepts such as warfighting ideology largely a position of what you can cover up from the general public. Mainly because at the end of the day in the inner sphere, it's about you and yours. And smoking craters tell no tales.
Yeah.
They make a hell of an autocannon. But to better illustrate my point, let's just dive in. This map is from 3067. Maps from after that are somewhat messed up, for a number of reasons. And on an unrelated note, let's just brush this radioactive ash off here, and there we go. 3067. Don't mind the flickering on the screen. I'm told it's mostly harmless. Mostly.
I hope
Let's
so.
begin with the great houses themselves. I'll be moving clockwise as we go for those of you who understand time, and left-hand feed for people who understand timing.
Alright. The dragon one. The Draconis Combine and the House Kurita. House Kurita? House Kurita.
Welcome to the wacky, weird world of the Draconis Combine. Welcome to a pervasive class system, and home to the galaxy's own homegrown, no-bullshit, sword-wielding, authoritarian samurai ruling class.
Okay, kinda cool.
Yes. This place is literally built off pre-spaceflight Terran Shogunate-era Japan. It's a monolithic, all-encompassing bureaucratic machine run on war and conquest that thinks optimal Christmas dinner is, by tradition, fried chicken.
Wait, really?
They're a fun collection of ideas. Behold, this is their throne room.
I will say a lot of this art is looking really cool in here. But yeah, having a throne room and everything, I guess they have in Emperor and whatnot, because quite literally just taking ideas from Imperial Japan and putting them here. At least that's what I'm getting from it, at the very least. But still, very cool in terms of design. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Take that in. This isn't just for show. This is their military. These are their uniforms.
Really?
These are their mechs. They fight like this all the time. Yes, those swords are very real and do brutal work. Alright, so back to the guy in the chair. It is frequently a guy in charge of this.
Alright.
So this guy is called the coordinator. He runs the place. There is very little distinction between the coordinator as a person and the Draconis Combine as a whole.
Oh.
When people refer to the dragon in reference to Kurita as a house or a nation, it's interchangeable between the two entities. And no, the Draconis Combine doesn't celebrate the godhood of rulership with divine mandate. However, the coordinator's word carries essentially the same weight within their sphere of influence, so I'd not invite trouble, as Kurita tends to...
So basically the word of his is the word of the country, basically, of the coordinator. He basically leads in all sorts of things. And basically, if you're speaking about the country, you're speaking about him. And I'm guessing any insults against the Combine is an insult against him, which he will take quite literally. Well, makes sense. Rulers like this usually try to see that they are the people, or they are the country, or, you know, blah, 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 along that line of, we are one nation under him. No, 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 no. You get why I'm going with this. But still interesting.
Bury its enemies deep, headless, and by the million.
Oh.
They have no issues with troubleshooting in government, as trouble should be shot in the Draconis Combine. And if there is anything to fear from these guys, it's that they believe in a manifest destiny, which involves House Kurita controlling everything. The Draconis Combine started as an agreement between two worlds, which was then fed war and conquest through House Kurita's leadership. Kurita has had total control since the beginning, aside from that one cadet branch that one time in the family who was wiped out long ago. As far as how this thing runs, well, the 5 pillars represent the Draconis Combine. The pillar of gold is the government. The pillar of steel is the military. The pillar of teak is the people. The pillar of ivory is religion, philosophy, zen, and all that crap. And then there's jade, the economy. These 5 pillars of state philosophy are represented in the ministries of state organized through them. For instance, the pillar of steel encompasses the Ministry of War, the Department of Indoctrination, the Bureau of Substitution, the Assembly of the Grand Inquisitor, the Admiralty, the physician staff of the Dragon, and various minor administration authorities. Speaking of authorities, Draconis Combine bureaucracy tends to be impenetrable to outsiders, impossible to reason with, and largely maintains the status quo. Actual decisions are typically made by people with significant military rank, in the form of military governors appointed to oversee civilian authorities. When in doubt, the decision maker is typically the one with the sword. And if you want to see that sword up close and real fast, you only need to fail to take its bearer seriously, or merely disrespect their presence. Also, they had this whole death to mercenaries thing for a while. Not my favorite government to work with.
Yeah, I can tell why you don't like it.
Mercenaries ever, because the constant fighting and insanity of the samurai class means they're pretty much ready to throw down whenever. If they lack a cause, they'll find one quick. The leaders of the Draconis military are often peerless warlords, equally at home in local shogunal politics, or on the battlefields of their neighbors. The Draconis Combine is the state that war built, maintained by Bushido, psychotic warriors, and a shitload of weapons. Finding Kurita forces in your backyard is frequently the precursor to speaking Japanese in your near future, whether you want to or not.
I do say I like this design, but this is probably from it's BattleTech. Oh, I meant Robotech. Why did I say BattleTech? Never mind what I just said. Don't pay attention to me sometimes. I speak, I don't know, craziness sometimes. Alright? Okay. We're all good. But yeah. Okay, next one. We got an interesting
Next
so far.
door is ruled by House
Federation
Davion, the
son.
so-called good kid of the successor houses. The noble one. The one that likes autocannons
They're definitely
a lot.
trying to be
That's
the good
these
guys. Ah.
Technically, the state is the Federated Sons, and they're another fun monarchy. House Davion is descended from English and French nobility, operating as constitutionally bound monarchs, and has been, since ever, trying to reinforce their position as champions of liberty and personal freedom at every annoying turn. Because of this, most people think House Davion, and by extension, the Federated Sons, are self-righteous assholes.
Oh.
And they are not wrong. Mostly. But see, the story is a bit funny on that. Originally, the Federated Sons was a federation.
I just read the name of this capital. For some reason, I can't pronounce it right now. New Alabama. I don't know why I can't pronounce it. I know it's a thing in Arthurian lore. Why can't I pronounce that? I'm not gonna try. I've been feeling a little weird. Ugh. Anyway, we're gonna keep going. But these guys sound interesting. But yeah, they could be swing the like scales of self-righteous or actually good people. It depends. Hello, Common.
In time, the founding polities chose delegates to form a high council who would, among themselves, elect a president to lead them. But the political machinations of the Davion family were all about having a monarchy, so they pushed the presidency into that, and since then the Davion family has ruled, which is really good for them. Mostly good for the Federated Sons, and has worked out for the most part. However, Davions being Davions, one had to rule them all. So there was an early Davion civil war. The five marches had to decide for themselves who would be the first prince, and sharing was, apparently, not a serious consideration at any point.
Of course
and the winner of that first early Davion civil war, Alexander Davion, went on to pass more legislation than any of his predecessors because he had total military support.
Of course.
Turns
that
out
means he can do anything, really.
How you want with a bayonet. However, the story doesn't get any worse, really, for some time at least. To their credit, House Davion was not a despot. They encouraged then and still champion free speech, individual liberties, and personal freedom. But in the end, it is a monarchy. Considering the mostly beneficial ruling arrangement, some will label Davion a father knows best state, which has many times, but not always, been justified in its actions.
Okay.
As such, it is seen as one of the more stable houses on account of broad public support. I will admit this. Though they can be miserably righteous and annoying, they're frequently not evil, just smug. And yes, that is just as bad.
Is
the
it?
armed forces of the Federated
Is
Sons
it though?
have historically been one of the most professional militaries in the Inner Sphere.
Oh, nice.
Originally formed from peacekeepers and always kept as modern as state
We're
industries
learning
could
about
allow.
BattleTech, yes we are.
These guys even
We're
developed
learning
the
about House
predecessors to the
Davion
Warhammer
and
Dime.
And the thousand,
the earliest
not the
years of
Thousand
battle.
Sons. We're just learning about House Davion.
Even when they're wrong, they're almost right.
The Venerated Sons.
Davion may not pay you well, but they won't bury you for
The
no
frick
reason.
is Fable.
Mostly.
Hey, Fable.
Who the frick is Fable?
I have met working on that one video that we did.
Who the frick is Fable?
You're gonna keep saying that, aren't you?
Yes.
We're learning about BattleTech.
I still don't know who Fable is, though.
Oh my god. Fable is you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
I'm gonna slap you.
Why? We're just asking questions.
Okay,
my
who's
fault.
next?
It's not my fault you're bad at answering questions. Rude.
The Capellan Confederation in the House Low. I probably said that completely wrong.
Next door are these guys. I don't like them as much for a number of reasons. The Capellan Confederation is the youngest kid on the block as successor states go. It's a socialistic police state that has almost but not always been under the control of one family, House Liao. The head of the state is the Chancellor, who is, in the Capellan Confederation, one nod away from making you disappear. To say that it is a police state is not an act of hyperbole, but substantiated
come.
fact.
Damn.
However, it wasn't always so. What started as a collection of states uniting for common defense and well-being slowly grew over hundreds of years through successive generations of philosophy and leadership from one house into an autocratic state with a centrally controlled economy.
Unfortunately, that...
Some would say this is a functional dictatorship, but dictators tend toward having some sort of functional agenda or understanding of strategic power. But in truth, there's actually three forces that run this place, at least in theory.
Really?
They are the Chancellor, the Prefectorate,
Sometimes
and
the
House of
dictators know what they're
Scions.
doing. Other times
The
they're
Chancellor
just
is
scared
the
of everyone
CIC
and
of the
kill
armed
anyone.
forces, special forces, in the face of the state and matters of foreign policy. The Chancellor can also make decrees and legislative changes at will. It's a powerful position, to say the least, and has nearly always been a lifetime appointment for House Liao.
Okay.
The Prefectorate is the body of state regional entities and greater nobility. The House of Scions isn't, mostly. Needless to say, the Chancellor seems to get his or her way more often than not.
Not
But the
surprising.
other two governmental branches will act to frustrate or block particular agendas.
All right.
What's interesting about the Capellan
kinda good.
Confederation is that its citizens, or rather I should say resident aliens born there, are not citizens.
What?
Not yet, anyways. In fact, in the Confederation, citizenship must be earned, and the state is the sole measure of that esteem. Children are legally,
There's no such
in
thing
every
as a
way,
functional
words of
dictatorship.
the state
True.
under limited provisional supervision granted by the government to their parents or other assigned legal guardians. At age 15,
God
each child
damn.
is thoroughly examined by the government to see if they have a proven commitment to the state. Those who are deemed worthy gain citizenship.
What
Those who
the
are
hell?
not are given a grace period for a second evaluation, but failure to measure up as a citizen for any reason results in becoming a non-citizen, which are frequently referred to as state servitors.
Oh my
By
god.
the succession wars, this non-citizen class had become an enormous part of the population. A population that, I must state, had no rights and was legally state property.
Oh my
This was
god.
reversed in 3052 when Sun Tzu Liao became chancellor and abolished servitor slavery.
Okay.
Not all Capellan chancellors are assholes.
I mean...
Most, though, well, the record speaks for itself.
Yeah.
The military of the Confederation Armed Forces have traditionally been the underdog, but have never shied away from a fight. They frequently are pushed into doing far too much with far too little, and on top of it have to face the catastrophic political and military meddling of a chancellor who may or may not understand the difference between entertainment and war. The fact the Capellan state has not been conquered out...
That's the problem with most dictatorships, is they don't understand what they're doing and can get their people into hot water and start doing stupid things that cause horrible things to happen for their people without them even realizing it.
Right speaks volumes.
Or
to
they
the
do
abilities
realize
of
it and
the
just don't care.
CCAF, who have demonstrated battlefield insanity as a doctrine for nearly 8 centuries.
Wow.
The Capellan economy is centrally planned and is designed on the principle that sufficient planning can overcome any hardship. This has produced mixed results. The Confederation always endures, but at what cost?
Next. Who is it, Fable? The Free World League House
Next
Marco.
door is the Free Worlds League. I don't say House Marik because,
Marik.
well, it's complicated.
Okay.
Also, their history isn't terrible as some make it out to be. Yes, the greatest threat to Americ is Americ, but glory to Marik.
So they're a bunch of backstabbers that just constantly kill each other? That's the feeling I'm getting from it.
But it wasn't always so. The Free Worlds League was actually formed before the Terran hegemony, born out of the early Terran Alliance's colonial struggles and then collapse as an early power. Your homeworld falling apart in early colonization was, well, somewhat on the catastrophic end of things. So nations which weathered that catastrophe learned self-reliance. The Free Worlds League was originally an agreement between 3 existing nations, the Marik Republic, the Regulan Principality, and the Federation of Oriente. Amazingly enough, the founders of the League owe most of their success to a guy named George Humphreys, who was the negotiator between the 3 nations and was honored as the first Speaker of Parliament for 5 damn sessions.
Damn.
They didn't throw their negotiator away when they came together as a nation. They threw nobody under the bus. Instead,
Wow.
they championed him. That is righteous. So how'd it go?
That is very righteous. No manager might beg to differ. Hey, give me a second. Was a dictator. Well, he was loved by the people because he treated them well. The problem is most dictators today don't have to treat their people well. They just indoctrinate them and treat them terribly. And basically, if they have the support of the military, they don't have to do anything. Julius Caesar was a dictator, but he was beloved by the people before that is the whole thing. More than anything else. People loved him. Anyway.
Down. You see, of the three nations, Marik was on top locally, and Marik didn't like the idea of a union at all. Not at first. He thought it wouldn't work. Working with others seemed like a bad idea, in fact, considering the state of galactic affairs. But Humphreys wore him down, like a good friend does. And the only reason I bring this up is because what wore him down wasn't politics. It wasn't an appeal to power or glory or riches or conquest or the history books. It was in fact nerd shit.
What?
See, Detlev Marik collected historic awards and trophies. Rasalhague, Prince of Regulus, collected miniatures, figurines made, and books and paintings and the like. And these two guys nerding out about the neat stuff they liked and had collected contributed as much toward the founding of the Free Worlds League as anything else.
Wow.
Ostensibly, the Free Worlds League is a federal republic, with each province granted a grand measure of self-rule and sovereignty. And as you'd expect, the Free Worlds League is a complex creature, politically speaking. The Parliament is technically a supreme federal and legislative authority, but there's some caveats to that. For one, membership of the Parliament was, for a time, determined by the amount of taxes paid into the Treasury. And then there's the self-rule problem. All that self-rule means you have all sorts of people in Parliament. Some nations can be dictatorships, others a theocracy, others a democracy, and yet all under one flag.
Yeah,
naturally, this causes some
conflict
problems.
Yeah.
It's why, for the most part, the Free Worlds League, through its history, has operated in a near-permanent state of martial law under the Captain General, who is frequently, but not always, a Marik. Historically, the power of the Parliament has waned with every major conflict, crisis, or state of emergency, whereas the power of the Captain General has increased. That's right. The Free Worlds League drops their issues at Marik's welcome mat, rings the doorbell, and runs the fuck home.
Yeah, that sounds about right. They basically give the guy the job to the guy who can actually fix things, and say, "Here, we're giving you a blank check. Just fix the problem, and then they expect just everything to go back to normal." Which they kind of have to give him more power each and every time because, well, you know as well as I do that they're going to have to continuously come back to him, and he's going to be pissed because he needs more control, or he just wants it because they want the problem fixed now.
I don't envy that job. Originally intended for military matters on behest of Parliament, 8 centuries of emergency powers later, the Captain General stands as first among equals, and is more or less House Marik's personal lordship of the Free Worlds League, with all of the hazards that entails. The Free Worlds League has defined its economic niche through innovative technologies and free trade, which I feel is a response engineered in opposition to the then crumbling Terran Alliance's blanket of tariffs and protective customs laws. The laissez-faire approach to the free world's economic principles has made more friends than enemies. However, poor risk management analysis has caused problems. For instance, after conquering the magistracy of Canopus during the reunification...
Please note, we call this historical effect in regards as the House always wins.
War, the Free Worlds League invested oceans of currency, industry, and effort into rebuilding the Canopan economy. Canopus returned the favor by outcompeting and underbidding the Free Worlds League economy in the region. Mostly using principally cheaper labor and lots of industry they didn't have to pay to build. This resulted in a 10-year economic recession for the entire Free Worlds League.
Damn.
No good deed goes unpunished. Since they've learned quite a bit. and have managed their economic affairs with care to guard against the systemic mayhem and shock as caused by other states, good intentions or not. Culturally, the Free Worlds League is a mix. In fact, it is probably the most diverse state there is in the Inner Sphere. The principal language is mostly a derivative of Star League English, but on any given world you might hear Czech, Arabic, or Urdu. With the sheer number of cultures and political systems present in the Free Worlds League, it must be said that if there was anything that unified them, it was not a merit, but more an ideology. And that's entrepreneurship, a belief in the free market, and the idea that anybody could make it if they tried. It was from the prosperity of the Star League.
Is this where most of the mercenaries come from?
This philosophy grew, I feel. The succession wars didn't dampen their spirits either. It merely made them appreciate what they had, and encouraged them to continue fighting for it. And maybe each other from time to time, because hey, glory to Marik.
Oh my god. What the hell? Well, that was very interesting. And hello, sweet Daisy.
Hi, Daisy.
For those who don't know, my friends usually stop by for reactions if they want to or not. Also, I will say...
He forces me to come here.
Oh my god.
It's true, he sends me like 50 messages. He's like, Fable.
I sent you one message.
No, he's like, Fable, get in here, not witness your doom. And then I'm like, okay.
Sure. Let's go with what Fable says.
It's true, I have receipts.
No, you don't. That's the
I
thing.
do.
Anyway, we're going to head more into this. This is looking fascinating either way. It looks like House Marik is probably the most stable for what it is, and House Davion. The other two we've heard about are not nearly as good. But yeah. Either way, we're going to head more into this. When you haven't gotten a chance to pursue this yet, have you gotten any requests to look into Lancer setting? Funny enough, me and a friend are actually, a friend of mine, we did do a game of Lancer originally with a... Hello, Big Mama Cap. Morning. We have done a bit of Lancer, not really videos, but I played Lancer before. Two different settings, one made originally by a friend, another I was invited into the game because they needed a player to fill in. We might do some of the games, do some of the stuff about Lancer, depending on what the other want, but I'm sure Met wouldn't be against it. Hello, Forgotten Dreamer. I am not handsome, but thank you very much. That means a lot. But yeah, we might go into Lancer if the people at home in this video tell us that they want us to watch more Lancer, because I'm fine with it. Learn about Lancers. No, you don't need to lie to make me feel better. Anyway, we're going to go more into this. We're going to... I agree with gamers. We're going to learn... But yes, always support your local reactionary reactor if you want them to continue reacting to the thing you want them to. That's how that goes. Anyway. If there's a specific video, though, if you want me to watch about Lancer, drop it in the Discord, and either I or Met together will just take a look at it, and we'll watch it. Anyway, more into this. I will say, the designs of this don't look bad, but... Well,
Next door is the one people make fun of.
Really?
For some
okay.
of the right reasons.
Okay.
Welcome to the Lyran Commonwealth. First of all, if you call it that, unless they're declaring war.
Yep, let me go back 1 second. Yep, the Star and Holy Guards have griffins in their throne room. I kind of like the design of the griffins. Not gonna lie. The motion is past. I know that motion is not past that I am handsome. Oh my god.
I'm second first.
Oh my god. Listen, if I was handsome, I wouldn't be single. Anyway, back up.
That unless they're declaring war or arranging marriage, which if I'm frank might be the same thing in the same afternoon. Okay. So welcome to the house.
Okay.
First,
I want to hear this again.
Call it that,
Sorry.
unless they're declaring war or arranging marriage, which if I'm frank might be the same thing in the same afternoon. So welcome to the House of Steiner. The Steiners are the ruling family and have been since virtually ever. They were founded as a merchant and industrialist conglomerate. They never stopped being exactly that. They celebrate their vast wealth by having far too many nobles,
Of course.
far too many noble titles, and historically largely incompetent generals.
Wow.
Save for the occasional flash in the pan, that is. However, if they're
that's stern.
strategically incompetent to the point that the concept of their scouting parties operating vastly excessive tonnage, even in modest printing actions, memes based more on truth than you think, then how do they survive, you ask?
Be sure handsome don't AOD.
Okay.
I mean, you are.
That is.
Cheers for your. Well, I'm just glad I have a wonderful community behind me that continues to grow each time. But yeah, I'll open the Discord link for anyone that wants to join. And yeah, if you want me to specifically watch a video. But yeah, this makes me laugh a bit, where it's just like, yeah, we're sending a scouting party of the biggest mechs we can find. Not knowing what a scouting party is. Which is light moving units so that you can just see what's going on and report back.
Well, money in the pan, that is. However, if they're strategically incompetent to the point that the concept of their scouting parties operating vastly excessive tonnage, even in modest probing actions, memes based more on truth than you think, then how do they survive, you ask?
Yeah.
Well, money and industry, friends. Money and industry. House Steiner's backing is the industrial base and every bank that invested in it. They are the military-industrial complex.
Oh, they make
there
everything.
There are many good reasons they can afford to dump truck weapons into a situation, operational or not, piloted or not, and then continue to do so until the enemy leaves.
Basically, they just produce so many weapons that no one else can compete. That's how they're staying in power. And no, do not boot me. I will not be booped. Anyway.
While not stupendously famous for warfighting leadership or tactical brilliance, House Steiner can and will bury you with its vast assembly lines led by pretend generals until you give up or they get bored. Every tragic comedy of their strategic planning is mostly covered by the sheer power of their pervasive economy and vast military industry.
Wow.
In its early days, the Lyran Commonwealth was headed by 9 archons as patterned off ancient Athens of Terra, because early post-Terran colonies were like that. Very, idyllic. Then one guy deposed the other 8, decided to establish the Estates General to run the show, and finally hammer out some agreements on what rights meant. And it's kind of worked out. Technically, the Archon of the Lyran Commonwealth is an absolute ruler, commander-in-chief of all military forces, and
This man can kill planets on accident. I can see why people make fun of them, because they just throw things at the wall and see not what sticks. They throw so many things at the wall until the wall either falls down or the wall somehow goes away.
Unilaterally make most governmental decisions with a modest nod. They run the show. They even hold the right to grant and remove noble titles in perpetuity. Titles which hold significant power.
Somehow.
So they're a ruthless autocrat, right?
Laugh if you want. Those males were probably somebody's kids.
Not really.
Children. Wow.
Most archons of House Steiner, aside from a few notable assholes who need extensive covering in what I will likely label a historical diss track, are mostly okay people. They delegate most decisions to the bureaucracy, the councils of state.
So they're mostly okay people. Thank you for the stretch. Yeah, that works. Thank you. I'm thinking about doing a second channel for ASMR, but that'll probably be done in the long run when I have the time to actually do such a thing.
Yay!
Anyway.
Appointed advisors
that'll be if I have
and
time.
the Estates General,
And
they typically just keep their heads down. Or just go to the Solaris thing. Right, the Solaris thing.
What's the Solaris thing?
So there's a bullseye in the inner sphere in the murder for entertainment business, and it's right here.
Arenas.
Solaris 7. This is pretty much Steiner in a nutshell. But I'm not an expert in these matters, so I'll turn it over to a local.
So at least the Steiners aren't terrible. I mean, they're rich a-holes, but that's not saying much in this universe.
You can sum it up better. Mr. Fisher, take it away.
Solaris 7 is the only place where you can pay money to watch 2 strangers beat each other to death. While also enjoying a corn dog.
Duncan, that's not true. Canopus exists. They have corn dogs last I went.
Oh my god.
Very good out back.
Yeah, right.
I think Canopus banned trans fats, my dude.
Oh my god.
Only ever seen funnel cake. Oh, and they do a lot of food on a stick. Saves napkins, less to
Oh
clean
my
up.
god.
Stick
Of course
food
they
is
do.
really the way of the
Corn
future.
dog.
I wish we'd
food.
thought of it first. Sticks truly are the yardstick of food.
What?
I'm Duncan Fisher. I stand by this statement. Sticks are the future. Mark my
Okay.
words.
Duncan, this is costing me a fortune.
Oh, right. HPG bills. So, Solaris 7. Murder is more or less very legal, so long as you do it in the box on TV.
Makes sense.
Everyone has a really great time. In fact, it's fantastic. There's explosions and music, and I'm there. Every night, on every screen. I tell you all the things I think you need to hear, and most of them are very accurate. Very, very accurate. Anyways, this is Duncan Fisher signing off. And this appearance cost Professor Tex 1,485 C-bills.
Thank you,
goddamn.
Duncan. Steiner space is a complex thing. Not good, not evil, just very big.
There.
In fact, I think that the Lyran Commonwealth is much like a cosmic horror. Some giant, blind, idiot god. Just waiting there, happily making
Yoxisov?
money and strudel. Singing merrily to itself until someone comes over and flips the table. And then it becomes very, very upset.
It's like a giant monster. Yeah, where they just unleash everything. What is this animation? Like, they will throw everything in the door. They throw the kitchen sink, and the kitchen sink has a gun now. But the problem is they have just so many kitchen sinks to throw at you with. So it's basically just, I have kitchen sink. I will throw the kitchen sink at you. The blind idiot guy was Azathoth, so I was wrong. Alright. Oh, that reminds me, Fable. You like Eldritch Horror, right?
Yeah, well,
I should show
got
you
my
the-
interest.
I should show you the Eldritch Horror Yu-Gi-Oh cards based off of actual ones.
Oh, do it right now. Right the frick
Well,
now.
what after this video? We will.
Anyways, moving to our
Lyran.
right, because space has that, we have to talk about this strip of the inner sphere that's been nothing but
The clan
hell.
invasion?
We're not talking about these a-holes here,
Okay.
because they're not from here, or rather, not recently. These are the clans, and for those uninitiated,
I did learn a little bit about this when I was watching a MechWarrior 2 video. Yeah, the clans are apparently from the outer sphere that just invaded during a long war. There's like a bunch of them I don't remember. There's like the Red Wolf, or was it the Star Wolves? I don't remember the names. I just know they're like animals and colors.
they're a strange, deep space civilization of state-mandated eugenics program, warrior caste, combat cult weirdos.
Yeah.
Even by our standards, they're very weird.
Like
They
the
also
cards.
got completely
Maybe.
wrecked by the phone company. It was
What?
a pretty okay time. For us, that is. So, here's what remains of the somewhat free Rasalhague Republic. So these guys were a
Remains.
thing, briefly, until these guys decided they shouldn't be. Because they were between these guys and Terra, which is controlled by
Oh.
the phone company, who wasn't cool with these guys taking a bite out of everything on their way to the telecoms HQ for very odd, strangely specific, quasi-spiritual reasons. But for
Oh.
very different,
Phone
strangely
company.
specific, quasi-spiritual reasons, the phone company decided to murder them.
Okay.
Guys, as it turns out, you can make people show up to an ambush by just asking them. Remember, be kind, it pays dividends. Before that unpleasantness, Rasalhague was a state come from the space between House Kurita over here and House Steiner.
Right.
These Kuritan buffer worlds were, before Kurita came along, an independently free principality of mostly culturally Scandinavian colonists.
All right.
This small state was then overrun by House Kurita, who had to pry the
Dude,
world from them
how
after
could these
30 years
mappers
of
have
guerrilla
red and
warfare.
blue? What?
I don't know. Sounds like near in 40K.
All over the place.
Also, it does kind of sound like them.
They didn't go quietly. They were always a somewhat fiercely independent border region who resisted assimilation into the Draconis Combine. Over time, and some phone
sense.
company intervention, Theodore Kurita was convinced of the benefits of creating a buffer zone between the houses of Steiner and Kurita by granting Rasalhague independence. Some of Kurita's guys were so mad at this that they resisted the government and Kurita had to
Ooh,
fight
that's a
what was
cool
called the
thing,
Ronin
though.
War.
Wow.
After old man Kurita gave his rowdy warriors the belt, Rasalhague became essentially a neutral buffer between the two superpowers of House Kurita and House Steiner. They were independent for almost 2 decades before these assholes came in, and in the end, they weren't anymore.
Damn.
This much of them survived as a rump state under the custodianship of Comstar until 3070, when Clan Ghostbear more or less took them in. Because Ghostbear is of a similar cultural background and understands the importance of family. Good people mostly. Kinda clingy though.
It's fine, there's a lot of confusing stuff in 40k, so I can understand the thing.
For the record, Rasalhague was not a paper dragon. They collapsed only after fighting bravely in the face of overwhelming odds.
I mean, it's like 5 clans full with fully war-hardened veterans all attacking at once. It's understandable why they would fall, even if they are like fully militarized.
World.
There's a lot of adeptus.
Black between stars. It was a Rasalhague pilot who kamikazed the Okan's warship and stopped the invasion for a year.
Damn.
Rasalhague is like that. They'll smile all day, but fuck around and the Viking comes out, and it doesn't stop until you or they are very dead. Next up, I have to talk about this. This was once the cradle of humanity, but it's been a hotbed of a lot of historical issues.
Yeah, Ghostbear, Clan Ghostbear.
The first circuit of what was called SL Comnet was laid out in this chunk of space once called the Hegemony.
Okay.
Then, well, there was this guy named Jerome Blake, and his fate
I
would
hope
have
you
it.
get some rest, Mama Cat.
Yeah. Clan Ghostbear, apparently. Let's talk about the video fable.
He'd be the last employee of SL Comnet. But some assholes in time would think that everything that poured out of his goddamn mouth was the word of...
Comstar requests to inform you of this technical oh my god, the phone company. I guess we'll zoom in redacted format. Praise Blake.
Right, so I guess next time I have to talk about the periphery, then the deep periphery. Great.
Yes.
Goat, play me out. Team, show these people how we pay our bills. See you next time.
Show
Stay
these
safe.
people how we pay our bills.
Oh,
Breaking
far away
bells.
from the light of terror, the remnants of another era. Join the crew, grab a brew. It's a damn periphery. We're full of pirates, cultists, rednecks, and opus girls. Look great in latex. Join the crew, grab a brew. It's a damn periphery. We're stuck in the periphery. Oh no, oh yeah. Ain't too much tech to be found here. At least it's not the inner sphere. Far away, far away. Out in the deep periphery. Far away, far away. Out in the deep periphery. There's Randus Knights and bandit country.
This is actually a really good song.
Murder junkies, houses out. Noble son. Out in the deep
country, like.
periphery. Solo.
Sphere.
Angels, trumpet-tongued, against the deep damnation of his taking off.
This is
And
really
pity
good.
here
Oh, just a
shall
little
drown
bit.
the
That's
wind.
good.
I have no spur to prick the sides of my...
They make a Capellan joke about awards in the military, but they typically retire people by millimeters before they become politically hazardous by degrees.
Okay, so if you guys want us to learn more about BattleTech, you guys know what to do. Get this video to 1K views, like, comment, subscribe to really help it, and yeah, we'll watch more. Anyway, thank you all so much, and we'll see you over on YouTube later. Bye-bye.